Hey, Marc Millan here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Today I want to talk about the 4 phases of a team. I think this is really important for you as a leader to understand that when you're working with groups of individuals, there can be kind of ups and downs and kind of bumpy roads that gets them from point A to point B. And if you're a leader who has an incredible vision and you've come up with a great plan, it's important for you to know that it's just not automatically going to happen. It's going to take intentional leadership on your part. It takes time to build teams. Individuals don't naturally become teams. There's things that cause that to happen. And so maybe you have a group of people you're leading. Maybe a person's moved on. I hope that this can help you as you become familiar with these 4 phases to see where you're at, to remind your team of where they're at, so that they can continue to move forward and grow together. The goal is for them to grow to a place where they're high performing and they're accomplishing the vision together. A book that I want to recommend is by Patrick Lencioni. It's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and it's foundational if you're going to lead a team. It's really well written. It's written in the form of a parable, so it's a great storytelling. Very popular book. I think it'll bless you and help you. Let's jump into the 4 phases. I want to give you a tip for each phase on what you should be doing as a leader as your team is going through these 4 phases of a team. Okay, the first one is forming. This is when your team is positive, polite, they're cautious. This is kind of their freshman year. Everyone's trying to get to know each other. Everyone's just trying to figure it out. I call this the unknown state. There's a lot of things they don't know, so they're just taking it slow and they're being cautious with everything. As a leader, be specific about giving praise to individuals on the team. Create awareness of how each other person plays a role on the team. And it's very important in the forming phase for you to create clarity on the roles. Who does what? What does this team exist to do? Those are foundational. That'll help you get the most out of that initial phase of forming and then move you towards the next phase. Now, each one of these phases is necessary. You can't skip over one. It's just the way it is. That's why I love visiting this and sharing it, because I think it's going to help you. Phase 2 is the storming phase. This is when boundaries get crossed. This is when you start to see pushback or questions, testing and trials. Conflict is for sure. I call this phase the distrust phase, because someone didn't know that someone else expected something, or they do something different now, and there's conflict and there's things that got to be resolved. Distrust becomes pretty much evident in your team's behavior. And so everyone, instead of just kind of now they're starting to kind of push up against the walls to see, how far can I take this? How far is this individual going to go? Does this person really have my back? Does my leader have my back? Does my leader see these things? This is when all this starts to happen. It's called the storming phase for a reason. So here's your tip during the storming phase. You're going to need to manage conflict with confidence. You're going to need to go in there and make sure everybody knows how to play by the good rules of healthy conflict, so that things don't get toxic or people don't hurt one another or create damage in the relationships. You're going to need to teach on how to resolve conflict, and you're going to need to be clear and decisive on what the vision and the win is. You're going to have to help remind everybody this is why they're on the team, this is what the role that they play, and it matters, and that the vision is to do this. You have to be very clear and decisive in this phase, because it will help people decide whether they want to get on board or whether they won't want to stay on board. And I can tell you, many teams don't make it because of the storming phase. Many individuals don't make it because of the storming phase, but it's necessary as a phase 2. Phase 3 is what I call the norming phase. This is when the dust settles. So there's been a little bit of pushback, a little bit of boundaries being crossed, a little bit of conflict. We've worked those things out. We've learned how to kind of work out our differences. This is where respect starts to show up, and there's honor, there's communication happening, open communication, there's cooperation, and you start to see trust. This is when the dust settles. I call this the sharing state because people start to openly share on how they appreciate one another. They share information, they share responsibilities. So that there's a kind of a trust that you start to see as people are not so much fearful, but they're moving towards each other and they're just starting to work together. That's the norming phase. Now here's your tip. When your team gets here, share the wins openly. Like, make a big deal about the wins and make sure everybody hears it and everybody sees it. Give lots of shout outs. Create the importance of individual contributions to the team. Not just an individual's contribution, but how that contribution played to the win for the team. That would help strengthen this phase and get your team really starting to work together with great chemistry. And then hopefully you can get to phase 4, which is performing. Performing is when things are moving fast. There's high trust. No one's really questioning each other anymore. They really feel like they have each other's back. There's high commitment to each other and high commitment to the goals and the vision. This is called the synergy state. This thing is moving fast and it's moving like a well-oiled machine. And as a leader, if your team gets to this phase, hopefully, here's what you need to remember. Stay out of the way, check in, and serve the team. So stay out of their way, check in. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? How can I help you? And serve the team. What do you need from me? What areas are you getting stuck? Those are the type of things you want to get to. So those are the 4 phases of a team. I hope they help you as you develop your team to really be a group of individuals that goes after the vision, that shares, collaborates, trusts one another, and really has a great time serving each other and serving the Lord with the gifts they've been given. That's all I have for you today. From my heart to yours.